What's up, friends? Welcome back to another live. Look at my beautiful Christmas tree that we just put up the other day. It's so freaking adorable. I should turn the lights on because it's even more stunning with the lights on. So if you guys hear some noise in the background, it is because JC is on a live right now, a Zoom live business call thing. I want to turn on the tree because I think it's gonna look so cute. Let me see. The twinkle one is my favorite. If I can figure out how to turn it on. There we go. Look how pretty. Oh my gosh, I love it. So I made a video a couple days ago in response to a video that went live that was kind of disturbing, I guess, to say the least. This lady, her name is Isis, and she has a YouTube channel called the Trophy Wife or something like that. And basically what she does is she would make videos about lifestyle and how to get married, how to find a provider man, all these things, right? So basically what happens is she comes out with this video saying that that she married a monster. That was the title of the video. And I originally, when I first saw it, I didn't watch it. And then I noticed that a lot of my subscribers were making response videos to her video. So I was like, uh-oh, something's not right. So I went and watched it, and it was really disturbing. Basically, the video talks about, I'm gonna give you guys a trigger warning because it has some not so great stuff in it. So anyways, she talks about how she found out that her husband was sexually assaulting her daughters, very young daughters, like literally under the age of 5. And I think one was maybe 4 and 6 or something like that, maybe even younger. And very disturbing information. But I wanted to make a response to the video because I find that a lot of people have one view or the other, right? Like a lot of people will say, okay, well, she's crazy, she's this, she's that, terrible person. And then the other half of the people are like, don't blame her, she's not the problem, and all that stuff, right? So my personal perspective is that it's almost always somewhere in between, right? In the middle. So I agree 100% that she did not choose right. And if you guys want to know more about the situation and the story, you guys can go watch the video. Like I said, most of her content is now deleted. I think she only has that video up, I'm assuming, because now she's in a lawsuit and she's probably deleting the content for the fact that they don't want to use it against her in court or something like that, because the guy, the husband, is trying to get custody of the kids, which is freaking bonkers. If what is being said in this video about him doing that to the children, it just blows my mind that he would even try to get custody. But whatever, you know how those people are. They're cray-cray. And with that being said, my perspective on this is that, of course, as an adult, you're responsible for your kids, right? You're responsible for protecting them and all this stuff. She has a past herself of sexual abuse. Her mother experienced it, she experienced it, and now her daughters. This is generational trauma. And the reason why this is something that can pass down generation to generation is not necessarily because of, how do I explain this? It's not necessarily because of a curse, like people say. It can be, it is a curse, but in the way that how you carry yourself, how you act, and the way that you were raised at an early age, and the role models that you have in your life affect how you are when you grow up, unless you are someone who's lucky enough to find either role models or people in your life that tell you you need to change something because you're on the wrong trajectory in your life, right? So victims, specifically sexual victims, or people who get molested, they are the type of people that struggle oftentimes with low self-esteem. These are oftentimes people that give off an energy of vulnerability, of naivety, of basically a sense of victim mentality. This stuff oozes from your pores. And I know that this may be triggering for some, but it is the truth. And I'm saying this also from my own experience. I personally have not experienced sexual abuse, but I have experienced other forms of abuse in my life, many different forms of abuse. And So I know what it feels like to be victimized as a child. I know what it feels like to be in a situation where you cannot protect yourself, and it can feel very daunting, and especially when you grow up and you have to process through the stages of grief and forgiveness and all the things to forgive the people who have hurt you in your life. Of course, that's a process. But what happens to a lot of these people is it becomes normal, right? Like this lady, for example, her mother experiencing abuse, her experiencing abuse, and then her daughter's experiencing abuse. It becomes like this norm around the family, right? No one really talks about it too much. It just becomes like, oh, well, that happened to her, it happened to him, it happened to this person. It's normal. Well, guess what? It's not normal, and we should be talking about it. And thank God that she is now speaking up about it, and that sadly her daughters had to experience this gruesome, terrible thing. But this is the way that things are brought to the light. Sadly, like, these bad things have to happen, and until someone speaks up about it and brings it into the open, it can't be changed, right? That's why we see a lot of things happening nowadays, and everyone's like, oh my God, the world's going to shit. Like, look at all this crap on social media and all these things, all the wars and all this stuff that's happening. It's not like it's been any different in the past. The only difference is now we have social media. We have things that are projecting this into our face, making it very clear to us what's going on around us, right? The stuff has always been happening. It's just now it's being brought into the light. And there's power in that if we choose to take these things, become better, and find ways to make it better and change it, right? I think I just saw a comment come through. Thank you guys for the comment. I think it said something about have a great day or something like that. Thank you guys. Same to you. But regardless, this situation is great for people to see, because of course we're seeing more victims speak up about things that are happening behind closed doors. But I also don't want to just be only having compassion for the victim. And let me explain this a little bit more, because a lot of people get triggered when I say, don't blame the predator, blame the predator and the victim. Because most people out there, when someone goes through a situation where they are abused, all the blame goes on the victimizer, the predator. And this is with most people, right? People that get robbed, people that get raped, people that get molested, people that experience any wrongdoing, people that get money stolen from them. I'm talking about all things. It's funny that the person who it happens to never wants to take accountability for their part in the situation. This is going to be something that some of you may not like to hear, but sometimes you need to hear the truth. We all have a part in the creation of every single thing that happens to us in our life. Literally from birth, from conception. Of course, this is my own perspective. Everyone can have their own belief systems. We choose our life experiences. We come into this world with an intention of the type of life that we want to live. And therefore, every experience that we have, everything that happens to us is for the sole purpose of leading us toward the intention that we had for being in this life. For example, I'll give my own personal example. I was born and raised in a cult-like religion, Mormon polygamy. Very controlling, very sheltered way of living. I didn't really know anything outside of what was even in the world, because we weren't allowed to associate ourselves with the world. I wasn't allowed to have friends. I only went to a few years of school in my life. I had to dress and be and act a certain way my entire life until I was 17, 18 years old, when I got out of it. And the reason I say this is because I, for so long, had so much anger and hate toward the people in my life, and blaming my parents, blaming my abusers, blaming life, hating God, hating all these things that I thought were projecting this injustice on me. And then I got to this point through being in really dark places, and luckily having access to resources like the internet, where I started to research and learn and take in different advice from different people and gurus, and and all these different things. And then I started to ask myself deeper questions like, what if I wanted to experience this? What if this is something that's happening for me instead of to me or against me? And this is such a profound way of shifting your mindset and your perspective on reality and life, because the truth is, I don't know. I don't know for sure, I guess, until I transfer to the next dimension, until I die. I won't know for sure if I, Holly, chose this life experience, if I chose to be abused as a kid, or if I chose to be born into a religion, cult-like religion, and be controlled and all these things. But one thing I will tell you is that regardless of whether that is true or not, it serves me to not live in a victim story. It serves me to not believe that I don't have control over my life experience. Because when you blame other people, anyone outside of yourself, for what has happened to you, you are a victim. You are in victim consciousness. This, I understand, is a high level of understanding, but you have to get to this point if you want to be free. And the reason I'm explaining this in regards to this video, for example, is because most people don't understand it to this degree. She is in a certain consciousness at this point in her life, probably not ready to accept her part in what has happened. Rightfully so. She needs to go through the grief process because it's very hard. Why do they keep disappearing? I saw your comment, but it like disappears so quickly. Let me see if I can turn my phone. Because sometimes, let me see. Orientation is locked. Rotate device back. Okay. Well, I will try to read the comments fast because for whatever reason, when I stream this way, horizontally, the freaking comments delete. And when I stream the other way, they save. So I guess from now on, I will stream the other way. I just like the orientation of this better, but it's okay. If you want to type your comment again, just so I can actually read it this time, I'm sorry, I missed it because it goes away so fast. I don't even know where they went. That's so weird. Okay, well, sorry I missed that. If you want to say it again, I would love to read it. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I always see tragedies, hard situations, challenges that come into our life as an opportunity to learn something about ourselves and to grow. And how do I have this perspective? I have this perspective now because I've gone through a lot of shit in my life, and I've gone through a lot of hard stuff, and I got to the point multiple times in my life where it was literally either I out myself or I figure out a way to get myself out of this hellhole. That's just putting it bluntly. So I had to learn tactics and ways to change my perspective, change my thinking, change my energy, and change my attitude about what I had gone through. And I understand, because I've gone through the process, that it is a process. It is not something that when something terrible happens to you, then the next day you're like, wow, this thing must have happened for me. No, you have to go through stages of grief in order to heal and fully process. I was saying it's hard to blame the victim or saying they chose to be victims. Yes, I know this 100%. I know that it is hard to. But what I'm saying is, you have to get to the point where you recognize, I shouldn't say you have to. It's helpful. It's empowering to get to the point where you can accept, know and accept everything that has happened in my life, everything. I'm not just talking about when I was an adult. I'm talking about when I was a child, from birth until now. I have played a role in the creation of my experience here. And what I mean by that is, if you want to believe in manifestation, if you want to believe in the fact that we are co-creators with life, then we can't just say, oh, well, I'm a creator now that I'm an adult. Now I'm the one that's responsible. No. That's just my perspective, like I said, because it's more empowering. I'm not going to live in the energy of I was victimized as a kid and therefore I'm just going to blame them for the reasons why I have anger issues. I blame them for the reasons why I don't trust. I'm going to blame them for the reason why this and this and this. Okay. Where does that get us? It gets us nowhere. And so I just have a very ruthless perspective on that type of mentality, because I know firsthand what it's like to live in that. And it's so debilitating, and it keeps you in the consciousness of victim. And here's another thing. When you are in victim consciousness, you are an energetic match to predators. And who am I talking about when I say predators? I'm talking about people who live in their animalistic instincts. People who are in survival. Specifically, on the topic that we're touching on today, predator men who like to abuse not only women, men, women, children, animals, anybody, because they're in survival mode. They're in predator. And oftentimes these people, we shouldn't even see them as people, because they're living so much in their animalistic instincts that they're almost more like an animal than a human, because the consciousness of these type of people is not even evolved enough to have the same amount of compassion. Why do we understand this? Because we see that there are clearly people out there who are serial murderers. There are people out there who do crazy things to people, animals, and all this stuff, and we are sitting here questioning, how on earth do these people have no compassion? Where's their empathy? What's wrong with them? All this stuff. Well, we're clearly noticing that there's something different about their psyche, their consciousness, than those of us who think deeper. I do understand having to change your mindset as part of the healing process. Yes, I totally agree. And I think that's crucial and key. And what I'm saying by this is, if you understand that potentially there's people out there with a lower level of consciousness, and I say this without judgment, I'm just saying that there are some people on this planet that are clearly more wise than others. Another example, Elon Musk. I'm sure we can all agree that to some degree this man is extremely brilliant, and most importantly, I mean, we can see that he's very, very smart and further evolved than the average population. Very intelligent. There are people on this planet that clearly are a little bit more highly evolved intellectually than we are, and oftentimes even more consciously than we are. We have differing levels or degrees of, I don't even know how to say that. I wanted to say consciousness. What I mean by that is all of it that comes with that. Emotional intelligence, self-awareness, all this stuff. This is kind of all encompassed in when I say consciousness. And with that being said, predator men or women are less conscious than the average human. Let me ask you this again. As a human being, would you put yourself in a situation with an animal that you know wants to eat you? Are you going to put yourself in the lion's den when you know that the lions are hungry? Okay, we know that we wouldn't do that because we understand that the lion could potentially eat us. So why, as women and men, are we putting ourselves or our children in situations where we are literally surrounding ourselves with lions, with animalistic predators? To me, it's common sense. These people are intellectually not at the same level. Musk may have more intellectual intelligence, but not sure about emotional. You're right. Maybe in terms of emotional intelligence, he's not as far. I haven't talked to him personally, and I don't know a lot about him, but I do know that something there is clicking, because he's further along than most of us intellectually. But regardless, I'm sure you kind of get what I'm saying. I think what I'm talking about more so is, maybe Elon Musk wasn't the best example. Someone who is very much so balanced with their masculine and feminine energies. And what I mean by this is a man who is able to be a protector while also having emotional intelligence, or a woman who is able to be emotionally intelligent, someone who can control their emotions and equally is able to protect herself and have boundaries. This is a balanced human being, right? So that's kind of more so what I'm talking about. And what I'm saying by this is, oftentimes we blame the predator, the victimizer, not knowing that the victimizer cannot victimize without the victim. Another example, a lighter example. When we are in a relationship, and anyone who's in a relationship, we often hear the term narcissist and empath. When those type of people come together, often, most of the time, the narcissist is blamed and seen in a bad light or as the bad one, the one that victimizes the empath. The narcissist is always saying how good they are and projecting all this stuff onto the empath, and the empath is just innocently taking all this in, and the poor thing is just constantly manipulated and XYZ. In order to come together in a world where law of attraction is a thing, like attracts like. That is something that you can argue with me all you want, but go study quantum physics and you'll understand that this is true. So in order for you to come together in a relationship, there has to be an energetic resonance happening there. So a narcissist and an empath, the underlying energetic resonance is the same. So though we may think they are different, they're the same. And exactly the same applies with the victim and the predator. They are magnetically drawn together because they're on the same frequency. Victim and predator have the same underlying frequency, energetic frequency, which is how, somehow, some way, these predators, often men, are attracted to a certain type of woman. You don't see predator men going toward these empowered, strong women who have their shit together because they're not on the same frequency. But you do see them going for very naive, very vulnerable, and oftentimes, most of the time, traumatized women because they're a perfect energetic match for each other. And I know that this is hard to accept, but at the same time, we have to get to the point where we accept it, or even just are aware that this is the case if we want to stop being victims, stop blaming, and stop seeing this crazy crap happening in the world. Because if we as women and as men decide, I want to be empowered and I'm no longer blaming anyone outside of me for the reason why I'm in the situation that I'm in, you're no longer a match toward a predator or a victim. Because you are an empowered being. You are a whole being. You cannot match with someone now that's on that energetic frequency. I can see that in the animal kingdom, but I'd like to think we are a little more advanced. Yes, and like I said, some of us are more advanced, while others of us are not. And because of this, it is our responsibility to become aware of those people who are still more in their animalistic instincts than they are in their human or divine. I think for predators, it's all about power no matter the prey. Yes. But once again, when something is seeking power, whether it be a man or a woman, that is coming from a trauma place. That is coming from a place of wanting to prove yourself, which basically, what I'm saying is it's coming from survival, it's coming from fear, which is of a lower consciousness. Any person who is moving from faith, moving from love, moving from an understanding that I have nothing to fear, they're at a higher consciousness. So any person who is still acting from a place of trying to have power, fame, recognition, and all these things is still acting out of a lower vibration. Or like I said, in other words, acting out of survival is kind of the same thing as acting out of your animalistic instincts from your ego. Because as we evolve as human beings, we start to use more of our divine faculties, meaning we learn to merge our action with our thoughts, our energy, and the way that we are perceiving others and ourselves in the world. Higher levels of awareness and consciousness. So, on the topic, to come full circle, we cannot only blame the predator, but I'm also not saying that we should put all the blame on the victim. We need to hold both parties accountable in order for change to happen. And for any people out there, whether you're watching this video or whatever, I think I understand your point, just don't fully agree respectfully. Totally fine. And I don't expect everyone to agree. It's totally fine. I'm just saying, I know from my own perspective, my own personal experience, I agree everyone needs to be held accountable for their whatever they're doing in the world. But I also think that if we want to be more empowered as women and as men, I'm specifically now speaking to women, for those of you women who do not want to experience any more toxic relationships or men who are abusive or XYZ, you have to say, how can I change so that I'm no longer a match to that man or woman who is hurting me or whatever? And you get there by deciding that I'm going to have better boundaries. I'm going to treat myself better. I'm going to not put myself in situations or around people who I know will hurt me, because this is all stuff that we decide. We choose. So, I don't know. It's a tough conversation. Because just like I said before, am I saying that predators should be let off the hook, that we should just let everybody roam free? No, I think that everyone is going to have consequences for their actions. So if someone chooses to be a predator or someone chooses to be abusive, then yeah, maybe they should go to jail, of course. Or they should have whatever it is that is their form of, what is the word I'm looking for? Prosecution, if you want to call it that. And equally, the victim should be put into a situation where they get the support and they need the help that they need. Because they also need to be given the things that they weren't given as maybe a child, maybe as a young adult or whatever. They were not given the things, the tools and the resources in order to become more mature, more evolved, more conscious of themselves enough to realize they are the ones that are getting themselves in those situations. Victims are living in that consciousness maybe because they were victimized as a kid and they've never grown out of it. Been there myself, I understand 100%. But when you get the help that you need, in the situation of this lady, she gets the help that she needs. She gets the support, the love, the therapy. She's going to start to realize, oh crap, okay, now I'm noticing how I'm the one that got myself in this situation. I chose the wrong man. And if you hear her story, you will 100% agree with me. It's very, very clear. It's very clear as to the reason why she's in the situation. Choosing her husband after a week. Choosing a man who is very much so a love bomber, for lack of better words. Someone who was making all these empty promises. And the fact that she was basically jumping from living with her ex to getting married so quickly. All of us who have any sort of common sense are going to recognize that as a red flag, right? So in her situation, I'm seeing it from compassion. She is not mature enough to make those decisions for herself. She wasn't given the tools and the resources to learn how to choose correctly, how to set boundaries for herself, how to not live in survival mode and choose men just because she needs money because she's in a very desperate situation. Bad decisions are made when we make decisions out of desperation, right? So, with that being said, sorry I missed the beginning of the story about this lady making wrong choices. So, what I'm saying is this video, girl's name's Isis, called the trophy wife, or the new trophy wife. She is now exposed on social media as a lady who has now daughters that are abused because of certain choices that she's made in her past. A lot of people are coming at her and feeling bad for her and saying, oh my God, you poor lady, I can't believe this happened to you. While equally, there's the opposite side, which is these people bashing on her saying, you're stupid, this is all your fault, I can't believe you did this. Both are correct to some degree, but the ignorance that is out here baffles me, because so many people want to speak about something when they have no idea what they're talking about because they don't understand both sides. I'm saying that I'm coming from a middle ground because 1, I've experienced trauma myself. 2, I've gone through the process of grief to get myself to the point where I am now, where I feel empowered, where I'm taking accountability. I understand that the things that happen around me and to me aren't happening to me. They're happening because of my choices in my life. That's a place that you get when you go through the process of healing. When you get the help you need, the support you need, and you become resourceful. I understand that not everyone has the help in their life, or maybe not everyone had the same type of grit that I did or motivation that I did to heal myself, because I knew at some point I had to change. I had to heal, because if I didn't, I was, like I told you, I was done. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm in too much pain. I'm hurting too much. The life is happening to me. There's so much shit going on. It's overwhelming. I'm living in survival. It's hard to be there. It is so hard to live in constant stress from when you are raised in dysfunctional families, when you are raised in trauma, when you have not experienced what it's like to feel safe in your body ever, or safe in the world. It's a scary place to live, and I have been there. And it's so taxing on your nervous system. It's taxing on your relationships around you. You become a walking stress ball. Seriously, like, and you can put on a happy face, but internally you're struggling and suffering. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with this, and it's coming out more and more and more on social media. It's coming out more and more in people around the world, and we're seeing it. And maybe this is one of the reasons why I was pushed to help people. I'm sorry you went through all that. I definitely agree you have a unique perspective. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I want to be able to help people, because when you go through something really hard and you find light at the end of the tunnel, it's like, it's hard for you not to share it with others, because you want other people to feel the same freedom and joy and peace that I now feel, because I know what it's like to live in the opposite. And so after seeing this lady's video, I really resonated with the suffering that I could feel that she's gone throughout her life. I can recognize and relate with her on the living in survival and all that stuff. And equally, I have a lot of compassion for her. I have a lot of understanding of, oh shit, like, people are blaming her for this. And yes, it is her responsibility and her fault, if you want to call it that. But I'm not going to say that to her initially. I'm not going to go out on social media right now and be like, how dare you, you're stupid, and because I know it's not the right time for her to hear that. She's not even going to register that. She's just going to think you're a terrible person, you don't understand me. There's a process that needs to happen in order for her to get to the place where she will be okay, where she can heal, where she can accept what's happened, where she can be able to be empowered and free and hopefully find peace at some point in her life, because she's probably never had it before. Genuine peace, genuine happiness. And so this is something that I share with people, because it's not something that happens overnight. I will give a really quick, brief description of kind of how I went through this process. Maybe it won't work for everyone, but I will say that I think it will work for 90% of people who've gone through trauma and dysfunctional childhoods, and you've lived with a dysregulated nervous system and feeling unsafe. Number 1 is acceptance. Acceptance of the fact that you, 1, are not happy, 2, that you need help, and that you want help. You have to want to not be where you are anymore. Number 2 is allow yourself to receive help, whether it's a therapist, a counselor, a coach, family, somebody that you allow them to guide you through the process. Next is grief. I went through the grief process for probably, if I'm being completely honest, probably about 2 years. Took me about 2 years. For a lot of that, I was just, for the first part, denial. I just pretended like I had no traumas. This was the point where I thought I was super happy. Everything was going right for me. And then I still somehow was manifesting health issues and all these things because underneath was a dysregulated nervous system that I wasn't even paying attention to because I was in the denial phase, which is part of the process. So first I went through a denial phase. Step number 2, I started getting angry because I started to remember and accept the fact that holy shit, I went through a rough past. Holy crap, I went through a lot, and I'm pissed now. I'm freaking pissed. I'm mad at everybody for everything that happened to me. That took a while. I was mad for a long time. Then I got to the point where I didn't want to deal with the anger anymore, and I became depressed. I stuffed it down and became extremely sad and extremely depressed. Why? Because like many other people out there, I didn't know how to process my feelings. I didn't know where to go and who to talk to about how the heck to heal from all the crap that I had gone through in my life. My family didn't know how to. My family at the time, my parents were going through a divorce. My sisters were, one of them was an alcoholic. Another one was doing other crazy stuff in toxic relationships. My family was a disaster, a mess. The people around me thought I was freaking psycho and were like, oh my gosh, this girl's fucking crazy. Like, emotional roller coaster. Literally everyone was asking me if I'm bipolar because one day I'm okay, next day I'm pissed, this day I'm sad, the next day I'm super depressed. I, at the time, was working part-time and then eventually lost my job because I literally was so mentally unstable. Mentally unstable. And I didn't even know why. And at the time, I was oftentimes when, like I said, when I was going to work, putting on a pretty face and going home, and no one really knows that these people, myself included, were suffering and struggling in silence, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to turn, and slowly picking myself up piece by piece by piece, learning things from this person, learning things from YouTube, because I had, at the time I was in a relationship, and my boyfriend, he was one of the people that was helping me, putting in my ear like, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up, because believe me, I wanted to so bad. I wanted to give up. I wanted to just say, this shit sucks. I hope that there's something better after this life. I was, during this time of being depressed, I was suicidal. That's just the complete truth. For a year, maybe even longer. Because when you go through the process of healing, if you don't have the help and the support, it's hard and it's dark, which is why I make this video, to help people understand. Don't do it yourself. Do not put yourself through that. I've been there. Get yourself help. And then understand the process. Go into it equipped and ready and expecting yourself to have these thoughts and have these feelings, because it's completely normal. It's completely normal. And thank God I know that now, and I can help some of my family who's gone through similar things in recent years. And I've been able to help them through this because of my own learning and processing of this information. And once I got through that part of not believing my thoughts, not believing that things were going to be terrible forever, and having certain people in my life tell me, like, don't give up, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then little by little, I, putting into my life these healthy habits like exercise, moving my body, which was a huge help. I also highly recommend that if you're someone going through a hard time, something like exercise and going to the gym can be immensely helpful because of the endorphins and the positive things that happen to your chemistry and in your body when you are exercising. It also helps release stress hormones. So exercise is extremely helpful. I also recommend getting your hormones checked, because that was something I was also dealing with that just made my process of healing a lot harder, because I was very much dysfunctional health-wise too. So on top of all the hardships and trauma and healing, I was dealing with health issues, so that didn't help. So if you want to make it easier for yourself, also get your health in order too. And little by little, I just noticed that by stacking these healthy habits and letting go of those unhealthy belief systems, listening to affirmations, surrounding myself with healthier people, getting myself into situations where I was learning. Because when you learn new things, you create new neural pathways, you start to make different connections in your head. Listen to success stories of people who've gone through hardship like you, or things worse than you, and have been successful, because it starts to create a belief of, I can do this. If they did it, I can do it too. Then slowly what happens is you build yourself a ladder out of the dark hole that you're in. And then before you know it, you start having better days. You start feeling lighter. You start feeling happier. You start feeling better. Like, I can do this. I'm capable of feeling happy again. I can have a great life. And then you'll notice that when you start making those better decisions, you have better thought processes and better energy, your life starts to reflect your newfound state of consciousness, your newfound state of being, no longer living from victim consciousness. Now you're a creator. Now you're someone who you start to see, oh wow, making better decisions in my life and feeling happier and having this type of perspective, wow, it really does make a difference. It really does change things. So that's kind of like my process and how I went through that. And it was a long journey, and maybe this is something that I should make, like, I don't even know, like a course or something that explains this process, because I'm sure it will help a lot of people, because I know that a lot of people are going through this right now. I see it around me, and I know it can be hard if you don't have support and people don't know how to go through it, and we're not raised to learn to process our emotions or how all this stuff is to be handled in a healthy way. And so I just figured I would make a little response video to that lady's experience, because I just saw it as a great segue to share with others, because I don't know, it just really hit home for me. I was like, okay, this is needed. Like, this is something that women, men need nowadays, because we're not taught these things. And I think that we're here as human beings to grow and learn from each other, so that the next generation can be an evolved version of us. And without growth, we deteriorate. I'd be interested in more in-depth videos on what you went through. Yeah, and I can share more on that in the future. But I hope that this was somewhat helpful. I think this gave me a lot of good ideas for potentially future content. And in the past couple weeks, I made another live on challenges and how to turn your challenges into opportunity, to turn your pain into purpose. And I feel like that's really what I've done in my life. And I don't say this to brag or anything like that. I say this because I'm living proof that you will get through hardship, and it can be much easier if you get help, if you find support. Because yes, I'm through it now, but good Lordy, if I went back, I would have gotten support sooner. I would have done it a little differently, and I think that's the path that I want to share, because I have a lot of things that I know will help other people who've gone through similar situations process, so that they don't have to suffer as long as I did, because suffering is a choice. And I didn't recognize at the time that my suffering was self-inflicted, because I was reliving past experiences. I was reliving this constant spiral of anger, depression, anxiety. Boom, start over again. Anger, depression, anxiety, didn't know how to process it. Anger, depression, anxiety. And then you just go through that hamster wheel. It doesn't have to be that way. There are ways to do the process of healing and do it much quicker. And that is something that I can share. And maybe I'll make some more content on that in the future. It's funny how stuff comes out about what I'm inspired to share with others through different content that I see sometimes, but also sharing stuff on lives and on videos. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have to share. This will be the perfect video for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving that I'm still here. Thanksgiving that I'm still alive and well, and that I'm happier than ever. I'm in a great relationship. I have a wonderful home. Look at this beautiful place. I mean, stunning. And I have health that is constantly improving every single day. I have an amazing family that is on the up and up. I mean, my mom's getting better and better. My dad's improving, and all the things are falling into place, you know? And I think a lot of our life can be improved by changing perspective, and that simple shift can happen through gratitude. Gratitude is a huge tool that I use daily to keep my energy elevated and to remind myself of the wonderful blessings that I do have, because anybody can be miserable by just focusing on what you don't have. I mean, you can have everything that everybody ever wanted, right? You can have the perfect life, the perfect body, the perfect, money, all this stuff. But if you look at what you don't have, and if you focus on the negative side of things, you're going to be unhappy. And equally, you can have what some people may say is nothing, and you can be extremely happy if you focus on gratitude. So perspective is everything when it comes to your joy, your daily joy, peace, and happiness. What I'll leave you with today is a book recommendation for any of you guys who want to use a book as a guide for your practice of gratitude. This book is something that I turn to like my holy grail. I've given it and gifted it to many, many people in my life who also use it on a regular basis. It's called The Secret, The Magic, and don't discredit it just because it's The Secret, okay? This book is the second in the series, I believe, of The Secret. The reason why it's so amazing is because it has 28 practices of gratitude. Here's the key. A lot of people, they want to read something, they want to try something once, and then they want it to change their life. Life changes when you change your way of thinking, being, and taking action every single day. Repetition is the key to success. Repeating healthy things is the key to success, because we often hear consistency is the key to success. Not the case, because a lot of people are consistently doing the wrong things every day. So consistently thinking positively, consistently being the person who you want to be, meaning acting healthfully, setting boundaries, all the things, right? These are things that we do consistently. Gratitude is something that we do consistently. And when we have something in our life that we can use and apply like a practice, that's why the book is so amazing. It gives you ideas, different ideas, ways to use gratitude in your daily life to improve all areas of your life, mind you, relationships, money, career. I mean, it teaches you how to be grateful for even your problems, to help you reframe your problems. I'm just saying, highly recommend it. Literally will change your life. And it's something that you can go turn to whenever you are in a bad place. I always have so many freaking alarms going off on my phone. So if you're wondering what I'm clicking on, it's turning off all my alarms that I have set to remind me to do things throughout my day. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope this was helpful. I want to see people happy. I don't want people to suffer and struggle, because I know what it's like, and it's not fun. And I don't think we came here to struggle and suffer. I think we really came here to live a beautiful life, but we have to get past the the darkness, you have to see past it, and it's hard when you're consumed in it, and it's definitely even harder when you were raised in it as a young kid, because it becomes a part of your subconscious. So I understand, been there, and if you guys need help, you want more information on this stuff, you can leave me a comment. I'm thinking about becoming a life coach, though I hate that term. I think that another thing that I absolutely love is coaching people. I love helping people through challenging things, trials in their life, and helping them break past limiting perspectives and things like that. So that may be something I do in the future. But yeah, that's maybe something to look forward to. But that's pretty much all I have for today. I won't be able to promise when my next live is, just because, what is today? Is it Monday or Tuesday? I want to say it's Tuesday. Pretty sure it's Tuesday. And I will be pretty busy cooking and getting ready for Thanksgiving in the next couple days. So that's gonna be fun, and gonna spend some amazing quality time with my family. And also, I will be leaving to Mexico on Friday. So yes, I have a crazy busy week again, more traveling coming up. And so I will say that maybe I can do a live tomorrow, maybe Thursday morning. But either way, I will see you guys soon. So thank you for joining. I believe it's Edgar, right? Edgar, the one that has been here watching this live with me. Thank you so much. Shout out to you for being freaking amazing and being supportive and commenting on my live today. So hope you, yeah, I think it'd be fun. But anyways, I hope you have an amazing holiday with your family, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.